So today, we're going to use the tubing. We're going to have it attached just around the knee height. And I've got my yoga mat set up that it's lying down right down the center of the tubing. We also have a thigh strap with the carabiner that we're going to use for a couple of the exercises. I'm going to leave it detached and start demonstrating. So the first exercise that we're going to do is going to be lying down, and what we're going to do is you're going to grab the tubing, and I'm going to have to scoot away just a little bit to where there's a little bit more tension, and I'm just extending my arm all the way. And I do have my arm up off the ground so that it just stays aligned with my shoulder, and then that recruits a little bit more of the front side of the shoulder, where if I had my elbow down, that's going to provide a little bit more elbow extension. But here I am purposely keeping that arm elevated off the ground. And we're just going to do repetitions for the 30 seconds. Then we're going to take the attachment, place it around the foot, and we're going to do a single leg press. And so this first round, I will just keep it with the single band. The second and third round, I'm probably going to double the band up, so there's a little bit more resistance. So we'll do each side for 30, and then we're going to go back to standing for 2 exercises before we come back down to the ground. So it'll give us a chance to work on the lunge, standing up. And so what we're going to do is we're going to grab the band as if we're using like a chopping motion. So we're going to grab the outside hand down, inside hand palm up. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk till there's a little bit of tension. And I'm going to squat down as I rotate towards the tubing. And then I'm going to stand and chop back towards neutral and then down. We're going to do that for 30 seconds. So inside palm is palm up. Outside hand is palm down. Squat down towards the band and then stand and rotate to neutral for 30. Then we're going to double up the tubing. And you're going to grab both handles. And now what you got is a very resistant row. So real heavy towards the end. Lunge position, opposite foot forward, doing each arm for 30 seconds. Now we're going to go back to lying down. I reattach, make the quick adjustment. Now I'm going to attach the thigh strap. And here, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a nice active knee flexion, and I'm keeping my toes in contact and my heel in contact. I'm going to do 5 seconds with the toes in, 5 seconds with the toes out. Then I'm going to do 5 seconds with the toes up and out, and 5 seconds with the toes up and in. And we might change those orders, but then you switch sides. Again, toes down and in for 5, toes down and out, up and out, and up and in. And the entire time just trying to keep that knee flexed. Then we're going to do face down external rotation. And so here, just going to where we feel that tension. We're going to do a couple 10-second holds with that. And then we switch sides. And what I'm trying to do here is just get that lined up. And so here I'm lying at an angle just because I ran out of room, but as long as my angle lines up with the tubing 90 degrees. So when I was lying out vertically here, it lined up 90, and then because I had to lie at an angle, so I'm just trying to line the body up. All right, so we'll go ahead and start by lying on the ground. Here we go. 30 seconds. Keep the arm up, extend the elbow out, hold for enough control. Slowly come back up. I might scoot a little bit further away. Kind of use this first round to get better at the setups in the second and third round. So keeping in mind of you know, where my body's lying relative to the room, relative to where my body's at with my legs up off the mat. Switch arms. Give a few seconds pause. And I'm actually going to grab closer to the tubing to add a little bit of tension. That previous time, I'll keep it the same, but I had my hand on the handle. And the next time I'm going to grab on the tubing just to even increase the tension a little bit. But this first time, I'll keep it a little bit lighter. And I am trying to keep that elbow on the active arm off the floor. I'm going to go ahead and come back to full elbow flexion. All right, next exercise, we have our single leg press. So go ahead and attach the thigh strap. Here we go, pressing out, get a nice pause. Really trying to keep the pelvis nice and stable throughout the motion. Really reach through that foot when the leg is extended. Keeping everything else as perfectly still as possible. Nice, slow, controlled, steady movement, switching sides. Press and hold. Up with smooth control. That leg is extended, the knee is down, really push through the foot. Reach. All right, now we're back to standing. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to keep this one nice and straight. So we're going to do the inside hand up, outside hand is down, split stance, and I'm squat, and then I'm extending right back to neutral. And as I squat, I go down, and then up to neutral, down. And I'm moving with speed as I come up to the middle, but then as I return down, I'm slowing it down. So up quick, pause, down, squat. Pause, own it. Squat down towards it. There you go, we'll switch sides. Again, outside hand is down, inside hand, palm is up. Squat towards the band. So this is a lower body, core, and upper body. But use the legs and the core to drive the movement, and you're using your arms and upper body as an isometric. Okay, we're going to double up the band, add a little bit of tension. Grab both handles. I'm going to do my split stance, opposite foot forward. Get a nice squeeze at the back. Trying to get this hand close to the shoulder as opposed to keeping the hand down there. As you can tell, I can't go back as far. So really work on letting that hand get close to the elbow. Okay, we'll switch sides. Light bend in the knees. Here we go. A lot of the pressure and weight is going through the front leg and then through the ball of that back foot. Really concentrate on that shoulder blade when you have that hand back, trying to get that shoulder blade to squeeze. All right, gonna go ahead and bring this tubing back. We're gonna do our knee flexion. So I gotta reattach the tubing, reattach the carabiner and thigh strap. I'm gonna get back here to the back end of the mat, I'm going to do the toes down and in. I'm going to rotate the toes to down and out. Now I'm going to bring the toes up, keeping them out. And then bring the toes up and across. Squeeze that heel back, and then I'm just going to do toes right down the middle. And relax. We'll switch sides. Opposite leg is extended. I'm going to slide the foot back. Tension on the band, toes down and across. Down and out. Squeeze that heel back towards this. You're trying to squeeze this space between the thigh, toes up and out. The side's a little more taxing. Toes up and across. Squeeze that thigh back. Now toes straight down. A little more fatiguing on that side for me. So now we're going to do the face down, hip external rotation. So I got my knee bent, my knee stays bent. I'm going to take my thigh out to the side just a little bit. I'm going to rotate the foot across towards the back of this straight leg. Trying to keep this hip down rather than letting it rotate, and let the foot come back up. Hold again. Slowly rotate back to neutral. One more hold. Breathe into it, really feeling this area squeeze. You can feel it get tight. And relax, we'll switch sides. Okay, knee is bent. Slowly back to neutral. One more. All right. We're going to go back to the little tricep press. So I'm just going to grab on the tubing this time. Remember that's where I need to line up on the mat relative to the room. Keep that arm up off the ground. Here we go. Trying to keep my chin up versus letting that tuck down. Feeling it through the back of the arm. And I am using a little bit more of the front of my shoulder at the same time that I'm using my tricep by keeping my arm up off the ground. It's requiring a little bit more shoulder coordination. Okay, we'll switch sides. What's nice about this position is it helps your shoulder work on depression. So it's about setting up the shoulder, and then with that shoulder in position, then doing the motion at the elbow only. Okay. Now we've got our single leg press. I'm going to go ahead and double up the handle. So I have a lot more resistance. So now this time I'm going to have to go a lot closer to the attachment because the resistance is going to be a lot more. And I'm going to go ahead and keep my hand over the tubing just as protection. That's the one thing with this tubing stuff is that it does have some risk associated to it. So with this added resistance, doubling up the tubing, it really gets hard at the end range of getting that leg fully extended. Okay, we'll switch legs. And so another great way of increasing the resistance is if I had two of these tubings, would be a nice intermediate. And I would obviously stay at that same previous length where I'd be further away. Because when you shorten and double it, you have to go closer. All right. So we our standing exercises. So I'm grabbing, inside hand is palm up, outside hand will go to where there's tension, squat, and then I'm gonna stand and rotate. Squat towards the tubing, attachment, up and rotate. Down. Really explode, go with speed as you stand and rotate. Come back to the tubing, up and pause. So I'm thinking about my left rib cage right now, getting over to my right hip, towards the right side of my outside of my right leg. We'll switch, grab the inside palm up, outside hand palm down, squat towards the tubing. Get a good control, good pause. Here I'm thinking about taking my right rib cage towards my left outside of my leg. We're going to go back to the doubling up the tubing. So when I did the leg, I kept the handles on the attachment. Now I'm going center of the tubing and grabbing the handles. So split stance. Squeeze those shoulder blades back. Switch arms, switch sides. So we're using your arms a lot, but still really concentrate just on what's happening between your shoulder blades. So you can even put your hand over the top and just feel that shoulder blade. As your hand goes forward, the shoulder blade moves away from this backhand. And as you squeeze back and pull back, you feel that shoulder blade make contact with your fingers again. Go back to attaching just the handle. We're gonna do our lying knee flexion. So get way back here to where there's tension. Now, this one I still keep pretty light just because it's a pretty taxing exercise. I'm gonna do my left side first this time. Toes are down and in. Squeeze that heel back, trying to have no space between your calf and the thigh, toes down and out. Toes up and out. And that knee wants to kind of dive in. Toes up and across. And toes down. Pulling that heel back. Okay, we'll switch sides. So again, it's a little bit of tension. As I slide that back, there's even more. I'm going toes down and across, trying to clear this space. Have no space between toes down and out. Toes up and out. Think about getting that heel to my butt. Toes up and across. Toes down. All right, we're doing our face down hip external rotation, final exercise of round 2. Here we go, 3, 2, and I'm bringing it across. Slowly rotate out. And again, back across. Back out, we have one more. And relax. All right, we're going to go ahead and switch sides. Here we go, holding that across. My hip kind of wanted to rotate, so then I had to shove it back down into the floor. Get back to neutral with the leg and hip. Slowly back to neutral. One more. So here I'm going to really concentrate on trying to keep my hip down as my foot goes across, keep that pelvis down. And I've created a greater internal tug of war, and then relax. All right, here we go. Round 3. So I'm going to double this back up once again. Actually, I got my tricep extension, so jumping ahead. So here we go. The tricep, keeping the elbow up. If you want to recruit a little bit more of the tricep, you can keep your elbow at the ground. That's just going to have you get a little bit more of this posterior stuff in a more shortened position. Keeping that arm up works a little bit more of the front shoulder at the same time as that tricep. So keeping that elbow down eliminates the involvement of the front of the shoulder and puts more of that work back on the back of the arm. Switch sides. So you can do the first couple with the arm up off the ground, feeling that difference, and then compare it to letting that elbow stay on the ground. A little bit harder for me to do with this right side, keeping my elbow in contact. Okay, now we'll do the double up. Around the thigh strap. And I'm putting my hand just over the top of that. I'm going to line myself up a little bit better. Pause with it down. As I push through and hold, even trying to extend and lengthen that side of the body that is attached. It's like using that tension to even create more lengthening sensation against that fighting resistance, because the tubing is trying to compress that right side so that I can work against it to try to lengthen. Okay, now we'll switch legs. Pressing out, hold. So really drive through that right or that left side now that I'm pushing through. So I get that leg out, and then just a little extra push, trying to get that length. And that's what it is. It ends up being just like a little bit of a side bend and a little bit of extension. So kind of side bending on the right to get a little bit more motion on this left side. All right. Exercise 3, round 3. So we go back to the single attachment. We're gonna do our inside hand up, down, outside hand down, split stance, squat position, hands towards the anchor, up, quick, stand, rotate towards neutral. Pause once you get here, prove that you have ownership, come back down. I really like to think about this left rib cage rotating towards the outside of the outside leg. Really trying to push a lot through that outside leg. So inside hand and palm is up. And you're wanting the hands and arms to go along with the ride. The motion and the action is happening through the legs and the core. And relax. Okay, now we're going to double up. So here again, I'm going to keep my hands on the handles. All right, split stance, opposite foot forward. So if this is too much to double up, you can go ahead and keep it as a single band. I just wanted my back to work a little bit harder. And then because you get the angle change relative to the axis, it's a nice drop off for this exercise where it's harder. And even as the band gets harder, it's getting closer to the axis point of the shoulder. So it drops some of that stress off. Where if I kept my hand down here, it doesn't drop off. We're then bringing it up closer. Here it's further away from the shoulder. Here it just drops off. So it creates a natural motion decrease of the resistance, which your body will figure out because you just know that, oh, this is more work. It doesn't feel like I can move as far. This is an easier plane, an easier path of motion, I should say. So now we're going to go back. And we have our knee flexion. So we'll go back here to the back of the mat. So first one, toes are down and in. I'm pulling that foot back, really trying to squeeze through here. Toes down and across. And I can feel it. And then toes up and out. And with each of those changing in the foot positions, how slight, more challenging now. Toes up and in. And then now toes straight down. And there's a lot of variations. When that foot's moving, you can kind of feel that knee and hip moving. So the better control we can start to get with preventing any hip motion. So here I'm squeezing back, toes down and across. Now we go toes down and out. Squeeze that heel back. Toes up and out. Toes up and across. Toes down. Squeeze that back. Okay. So now we're going to do our face down hip rotation. So I got my forehead on the back of my hands. That knee is bent. Now I'm going to rotate across, really trying to keep this pelvis down. And then I kind of want to take that down as my foot goes across. Bring that foot back to neutral, hip to neutral, and one more. Let that foot relax, the hip relax, let the foot go out to the side. Now bring the foot back across, ride that pelvis into the floor. And relax. Okay, we'll switch sides. Final exercise. Ease out of it. Then drive that same side pelvis down. One more. Slowly coming out of it. All right. Nice job.